There is a moment in this tournament that nobody planned for. Not FIFA, not the broadcast teams, not the managers who had spent months preparing their squads. On the 15th of June 2026, Spain, the reigning European champions, ranked among the top 3 teams in the world, playing in their first group stage match of the tournament, were held to a goalless draw by Cape Verde. Cape Verde, a nation of islands in the Atlantic Ocean with a population of around 560,000 people, playing in only their second World Cup ever, drawing with Spain 0-0 at the 2026 World Cup. That result is the football story of the tournament's first week, but it sits within a picture that goes far beyond one extraordinary result. Because across the first 5 days of this World Cup, a series of episodes has unfolded that tells a story not just about football on the pitch, but about teams, players, and nations pushing back in different ways through different actions against the framework that FIFA has built around this competition. Some of that pushback has been public and dramatic, some has been quiet and logistical. Some has come from players, some from the physical reality of what this tournament is actually asking of the 48 nations competing in it. 5 distinct revolts, 5 different expressions of the same underlying tension, and together they add up to something that the governing body's promotional language has completely failed to contain. So what's really happening here, and why has the tournament's first week produced a pattern of resistance that no World Cup has previously seen in this form? Let's go through them one by one, starting with the most visible. Vinicius Jr., Brazil's most dangerous player, Real Madrid's star forward, the man who scored Brazil's equalizer against Morocco at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey on the 13th of June, a goal of genuine quality, cutting inside from the left and striking the ball beyond Bono with his right foot in the 32nd minute after Ismail Saibari had given Morocco a deserved lead. It was his second career World Cup goal, and after helping rescue a draw for one of the 5 most decorated teams in the tournament, he was asked to do something FIFA considers mandatory: a halftime interview, a brief media obligation built into the broadcast agreements that generate the billions of dollars FIFA receives from its television partners. He refused. A reporter told him he would be fined. He said they would pay the fine. But nobody from Brazil, he said, was coming to the microphone. We will pay, but we will not give any interviews. Those words landed across global football with immediate force, not because a player refused a media obligation, that happens, but because of the context in which it happened, because of what those words said about the relationship between players and the institutional machine that profits from their talent. Teams must provide either the designated player or the head coach to speak at halftime under the mandatory interview protocol. Vinicius chose to absorb a fine rather than comply, and the reaction from the football community was not that he had behaved badly. It was recognition. It was the laugh of people who have been watching this institution operate for long enough to know exactly what he was pushing back against. His refusal is not isolated. It connects directly to the hydration break controversy. The 3-minute cooling breaks mandated in the 22nd minute of each half across all matches, justified as player welfare, scheduled precisely so that broadcasters can fill them with advertising. Dozens of players signed an open letter before the tournament demanding stronger heat protocols, 6-minute breaks, proper scientific standards, independently verified temperature measurements. FIFA gave them 3 minutes and a commercial window. Vinicius's refusal to do a halftime interview is, in that context, not a single act of defiance. It is a footballer looking at the machine and deciding that one specific obligation, one that exists entirely for commercial rather than football reasons, is not one he's willing to fulfill. That is revolt number 1, a player, one of the most famous in the world, telling FIFA directly that its corporate obligations have their limits.
Here is revolt number 2. Cape Verde against Spain, 0-0, the result that stopped the tournament in its tracks on the 15th of June. Spain, European champions, 5th highest-ranked team in the world, a squad containing some of the finest technical footballers of their generation, could not score against a team from a nation of 500,000 people playing in only their second World Cup. Cape Verde's goalkeeper Stanley Mendes made save after save. Their defensive organization was extraordinary. Their commitment was total. But here is the specific dimension that makes this result a revolt rather than simply a shock result. Cape Verde played this match under conditions that FIFA's expanded format creates and that no previous World Cup has required to this extent. Teams at this tournament are traveling greater distances between matches than at any previous edition. Multiple cities across 3 countries, flight schedules, time zone adjustments, accommodation changes. The 48-team format doesn't just mean more teams, it means more logistical complexity, more travel fatigue, more adaptation required from squads that have been together for weeks and are already managing the physical demands of the club season that preceded this tournament. Teams are living in extraordinary places. Spain at a boarding school in Tennessee, Iraq in a rural town in West Virginia. Squads that have committed to preparation camps in locations chosen by organizers, not necessarily by the teams themselves, in cities and facilities that range from state-of-the-art to genuinely unexpected. The travel demands are real and documented. A report published on the 15th of June confirmed that teams face major travel demands in a tournament spread across 3 countries and 16 cities. The logistics of moving a World Cup squad between those locations multiple times across 6 weeks are unlike anything any previous edition of this competition has required. When Cape Verde drew with Spain, part of what happened was football. Part of it was the accumulated toll of what this format demands of the 48 teams in it. The smaller nations, the ones without the infrastructure and the logistical resources of the largest federations, are managing those demands with fewer tools. That Cape Verde managed them well enough to hold Spain scoreless is a tribute to their preparation and their quality. It is also a comment on what this format asks of the teams. Revolt number 3 comes from Iran, because Iran's revolt against the conditions of this World Cup has been the most sustained, the most formally expressed, and the most extraordinary in practical terms of any at this tournament. Their team is sleeping in Mexico and crossing a border on match days. Their federation accused the host country of vindictive behavior after 15 officials, including the federation president and vice president, were denied visas. Their supporter ticket allocation was claimed to have been revoked. They are in Group G with Belgium, Egypt, and New Zealand, and they play their opening match on the 15th of June at a stadium in Los Angeles, a city they can enter only on match days. Their players are professional athletes who have qualified for their 7th World Cup. They are managing these conditions and playing football simultaneously. That combination, competing at a World Cup while sleeping in another country, without federation officials at the venues, without supporters in the stands, is a form of revolt simply by persisting. Iran is there, their players are there, the football is happening, and the conditions under which it is happening represent the most direct expression of the tension between the tournament's stated universality and the operational reality of its primary host.
Revolt number 5. The travel revolt. Broader, quieter, and in some ways, the most significant of all. The 48-nation expanded format was FIFA's statement about inclusion. More of the world at the World Cup. More nations, more stories, more football. But the inclusion comes with a price that the teams paying it are beginning to express in public. A report on the 15th of June confirmed that World Cup teams face major travel demands in a tournament spread across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Iraq in rural West Virginia, Spain in a Tennessee boarding school. Teams managing the logistics of 3-country travel, time zone changes, flight schedules, and unfamiliar facilities, not once, but repeatedly across the group stage. The players' open letter about heat protocols was the most formal expression of this broader revolt against the physical conditions the format creates. Dozens of players signing a document telling FIFA that 3-minute breaks are not enough when the heat index in certain stadiums reaches dangerous levels, that the welfare breaks should be 6 minutes, not 3. That independent scientific oversight should determine when breaks are needed, not a fixed schedule designed around broadcast windows. That the players, whose physical welfare is being cited as the justification for the commercial break arrangement, should actually have their welfare considered in its design.
FIFA's response to that letter has been to maintain the 3-minute format. The commercial window is intact, the player welfare language continues, the arrangement continues, and the players who signed the letter are competing within it, because the alternative is not to compete. But they signed the letter. They put their names on a document that said the institution running this tournament has got the balance wrong between commercial obligation and genuine care for the athletes at its center.